For those listening at home at www.knoxvilleRaceway.com, get set, because here we go. The field works to the white line, green flag. Much better start this time as Vandenberg tries to pull Higday down into turn one. Now Vandenberg with the advantage off turn two. Higday back to second, but here comes the Bulldog in the third spot. Now your races for the lead. Higday knocks on the door looking to the inside. Vandenberg stays tough on the top side by each down into turn one. Now Higday takes the top spot in turn two. John Vandenberg settles back to second. Jesse Janetto running in the third spot down the back straightaway. Randy Miller running fourth. Don Droud Jr. wrestles in the fifth spot as they work off turn four. Here comes Wayne Johnson. Wayne Johnson in the sixth spot, the car number 12X trying to reel in Droud in turn two. Now take a look down the back chute. Your race is for the fifth spot. Here they come to the inside. Droud says no. Johnson slides to the cushion in turn four, working off the turn single file. Your leader goes through turn number two, the car number 24, Josh Higday. John Vandenberg still driving in that second spot as Jesse Janetto runs third. Randy Miller fourth. Now Droud starting to close in for the fourth spot. Your race for fourth and fifth off turn four. Droud to the bottom, drives it deep, can't do it in turn one, tries it in two, but Miller says no. Down the back chute, single file. Your leader works off turn four. Now here comes Josh Higday. John Vandenberg still second, Janetto third, Miller fourth with a challenging Droud in the fifth spot. Wayne Johnson running sixth. Here comes Larry Neighbors still running in the seventh spot. Jeff Johnson, Brandon Hainline, and Chris Martinez round out your field as your leader all alone. Down in turn one, it's Josh Higday. White flag's out, one to go for this marathon as your leader works into turn two. Josh Higday, John Vandenberg, Jesse Janetto, now Droud cracks the top four, checkered flag will wave. Off turn four, picking up heat race win number one, Josh Higday. John Vandenberg comes home second, the Bulldog. Jesse Janetto comes home third, Don Droud riding home in the fourth spot.
We'll see Ricky out here tomorrow night in the Gifford Motorsports 17G 410, but right now he's strapped in that red 360 as we get set to go. Doug Clark turns him loose down the front straightaway. It's Travis Rylack getting the jump into turn number one. Stacy Alexander now trying to get by the 1C of Logan, gets a little bottled up on the bottom. Travis Rylack out front by himself in the 29J car. Meanwhile, we stack him up two, almost three wide now for the second spot. As Ricky Logan under heavy attack in his smoking number 1C car as John Hall's gotten by. Now Stacy Alexander going to pull up alongside the 1C of Logan. How about Zach Chappell moving up from the back of the pack? Keep your eye on the 50Z car. And Ricky Logan now off the pace in the 1C. As it continues to be Travis Rylack your leader, John Hall second. Stacy Alexander third, Aaron Crocker fourth, and Zach Chappell up from ninth now up into the top five as he now sets his sight on the 16 of Aaron Crocker. Crocker, however, though, pokes underneath the 126 of Stacy Alexander. Aaron Crocker also on the move now, gets up into the top three. The young lady from Massachusetts now up into the top three. She's not done yet now as she comes off the bottom. She's challenging John Hall for the second spot. Aaron Crocker hooked up on the bottom of the racetrack. Aaron Crocker now from fifth up to second. Lots of passing points for Crocker. Travis Rylack continues to be your leader. Aaron Crocker second. John Hall third. Stacy Alexander fourth. Zach Chappell rounds out your top five. Mike Chad, Brett Golick, Orion Jamison, and Mitchell Alexander round out the field. Zach Chappell now has gotten by the 126 of Stacy Alexander. He's up to fourth. Chappell trying now to reel in the 7-8 to John Hall down the back straightaway. Every position is very important here as passing points and finishing points are awarded. And the white flag this time by for your race-long leader, the 29J at Travis Rylat, but Aaron Crocker reeling him in slightly down the backstretch as Travis Rylat just a turn, about a half a turn now to go as he brings that 29J car off turn 4. He'll pick up the heat race win, but look at Zach Chappell now as he gets underneath the 7H of John Hall. Great run for the 50Z at Chappell.
Working through turns 3 and 4 to the white line. Doug Clark watching the front row and the field working through the turn to the green flag. Much better. Here we go. St. Arnold leads him down into turn 1, but look at Shane Stewart around the high side, up into the second spot, down the back chute. Shane Stewart from outside of row 3 works in the second spot. He's got his eyes on your leader. Off turn 4, your race for the lead. Tim St. Arnold, Shane Stewart on his bumper in turn 2. Sean McClellan, oh, look out! Dave Middlesworth off the pedal in turn 2, gets tapped by Larry Ball Jr. Everybody stays green now. The yellow coming out. Yellow, yellow, yellow. All right, getting set to go once again. Yellow lights are off. Tim St. Arnold bringing him around the cone. Turn 4, the green flag is out. Here we go. St. Arnold goes to the bottom. Here comes Shane Stewart now on the cushion. Side by side. Your race for the lead down the back straightaway. Your new leader going into turn 3 is going to be Shane Stewart, but here comes St. Arnold to challenge. Still working on your leader now. Stewart takes the top spot, but St. Arnold digs back in on the bottom in turn 2. Danny Jennings up into the third spot as Sean McClellan falls back to 4th as Larry Ball now pulling his car to the infield. Cody Branchcombe moves up into the 5th spot, but your leader down into turn 1 is Shane Stewart. Shane Stewart starting outside of row number 3 in the 6th starting spot, leads the way in turn 4. Tim St. Arnold running in that 2nd position. Danny Jennings running 3rd. Danny started outside of row number 4. So the driver's earning lots of passing points. Sean McClellan back to the 4th spot. Cody Branchcombe up into 5th. John Scholes and Mike Woodring. White flag is out, 1 lap to go for Shane Stewart, who leads the way. Tim St. Arnold running 2nd, Danny Jennings 3rd. Oh, look out in turn 4. Sean McClellan slowing in the turn and nearly gets driven over as Cody Branchcombe advances a position, but this time by. Checkered flag is out for your winner, Shane Stewart. Tim St. Arnold comes home 2nd, Danny Jennings 3rd, all the way from the 8th starting spot.
And as we get set to go, Doug Wilson, Johnny Anderson bring him down to the chalk stripe. And Doug Wilson has the lead into 1. Look at Brian Brown. We saw him do that all last season. Brian Brown goes to the high side. And look at him go as a pair of Missouri drivers race wheel to wheel down into turns 3 and 4. Wilson now still with a slight advantage. At the flag stand, Brown had a slight lead, but Doug Wilson not giving up yet. Still side by side, they race for the lead down the back straightaway. Brown on the high side, Wilson on the bottom. Doug Wilson not giving up the top spot. Give it back to Doug Wilson. Brown now tucks in behind. Oh, look at Brian Brown. He's going to go to the bottom now, as he now takes over the top spot from Doug Wilson. Well, Brian Brown from outside the 2nd row, your new leader. Doug Wilson now running 2nd. Darren Stewart up to 3rd. Johnny Anderson 4th. Eric Vanderploeg 5th. Gary Wright now running in the 6th spot. Gary started inside road number 4 as he needs to get a couple more cars if he wants to advance onto the A main. As Gary right now goes to work on the high side of the rookie Vanderploeg. Eric Vanderploeg, a rookie, Gary Wright with many, many seasons in a sprint car as those two battle for the 5th spot. Vanderploeg, though, doing a good job of holding off the veteran Gary Wright. Back up front, Brian Brown starting to stretch the advantage now on the 33W of Doug Wilson. Darren Stewart from inside row number 3 up into the 3rd spot. Johnny Anderson comfortably in 4th. Eric Vanderploeg runs 5th. Gary Wright 6th. Michael Jones 7th, and Steve Wares rounds out the field in 8th. Well, the 57A of Vanderploeg now has started to reel in the 7A of Johnny Anderson. And this time by the white flag comes out for your leader, Brian Brown. Well, 2 weeks ago, Jimmy Sills drove that car to a win in the Masters Classic. And now Brian Brown comes off turn 4. He picks up a heat race win at the Advanced Auto Parts at 360 Nationals. Brian Brown picks up heat race number 4. Doug Wilson 2nd, Darren Stewart 3rd, and Johnny Anderson rounds out your top 4.
Ryan Menninga alongside of Jesse Hockett. Keep your eye on the 75 as they work through turn 4 to the green flag. Side by side for the lead. Jesse Hockett sets the wick up high and leads into turn 3. Jesse Hockett bringing him off turn 4 to lead lap number 1. Down the front straightaway, Ryan Menninga running 2nd. Now you're racing the 3rd spot. Here comes Liebig to the inside of Meyer. Oh, they touch in turn 2. Down the back chute, Liebig muscles his way into the 3rd spot. Now Mike Hausman squeaking by into 4th. Meyer back to 5th. Bump and grind, they work through the turn. As you see Ed Ergenbright now go to the inside of Eric Mason down into turn 1. Everybody trying to earn those valuable passing points. Down the back shooting through turn 3 and 4. Here comes your leader. It's Jesse Hockett. Ryan Menninga still running 2nd. Shane Liebig 3rd. Now Mike Hausman knocks on the door, looking at the 3rd spot. Mike Hausman, the car number 83, running in that 4th spot, now sets him up once again into turn 3. Looks to the inside, by side, they work into turn 4. Hausman moves up 1 to 3rd. Shane Liebig in the 4th spot now as Mike Hausman works his way up into 3rd. Hausman starting in the 5th spot, riding 3rd now as your field works down the front chute. Hockett still showing the way, Menninga, then Hausman, Liebig, Rodney Turner, Meyer, and now Ed Ergenbright trying to move up 1 spot over Troy Meyer. You're racing 6th and 7th. Ergenbright up in the junk, muscles by down the back chute side by side. Ed Ergenbright, Meyer on the bottom. They work into turns 3 and 4. Meyer still running the bottom side of the speedway. Ergenbright not able to make the pass. They fall in single file. This time Ergenbright goes to the bottom, slide job, got it. Ed Ergenbright makes his way up into the 6th spot as the white flag's out. 1 to go for your leader from Warsaw, Missouri, Jesse Hockett. Jesse Hockett down the back chute now the final time. Ryan Menninga running 2nd, Mike Hausman 3rd, Shane Liebig 4th. Here they come this time by Put Your Hands Together. Your winner off turn 4 will be Jesse Hockett. Ryan Menninga comes home 2nd, Mike Hausman 3rd, Shane Liebig takes the checkered in 4th, Rodney Turner 5th, Ed Ergenbright up into 6th.
So, boy, we're losing them like crazy in this heat race. We haven't even started yet as we get set to go. The green flag flies as we stack them up down into turn number 1. Look at Clint Garner trying the high side, making it work. Rick Zeal, though, escapes down the backstretch with the lead. Clint Garner, now Randy Martin trying the bottom. Billy Alley on the top. Everybody trying all sorts of lines early in this heat race. At the flag stand, Rick Zeal had the lead. Clint Garner was 2nd, Randy Martin 3rd. Ryan Anderson 4th, Bobby Meinster now 5th. Your battle, though, is for that second spot. Randy Martin, Clint Garner. Martin trying the high side on Garner. Garner holds him off. How about Rick Zeal, the New Mexico driver, having a nice run, leading a heat race number 6. It continues to be Zeal, Garner, Martin, Anderson, Meinzer, Alley, Foster, followed by Hutchins, rounding out the field. As great racing now for the 4th, 5th, and 6th spot. Everybody trying to get those finishing and passing points. As Rick Zeal now comes up to put a lap on the F4 of Danny Hutchins, and Clint Garner now getting trapped on the bottom. Garner getting held up behind Hutchins. Randy Martin used that to his advantage. Randy Martin now up to 2nd. Meanwhile, look at the yellow car. Billy Alley suddenly from 6th up into the top 4. Billy Alley on the move. As he pursues Clint Garner now through turns 3 and 4. Alley down the bottom. Garner right through the middle of the racetrack. They go wheel to wheel down into turn number 1. Give the spot to Billy Alley. Garner now back to 4th. Your leader continues to be the 6L of Rick Zeal. But the black 14 of Randy Martin starting to close on the 6L of Zeal. Martin that time got a little out of shape as Zeal still holding the lead. Started outside row number 1. Down they come to take the white flag. Rick Zeal, just one more lap to go. He'll pick up a heat race win. Make that long drive for New Mexico seem not quite as long if he can win his heat race. Zeal one more time through turns 3 and 4. Nice and easy on the high side. Randy Martin trying the bottom, trying to make it work. Martin closes down the front stretch, but Rick Zeal hangs on, takes home heat race number 6. Give the win to Rick Zeal. Randy Martin comes home 2nd.
Gary Lee Meyer bringing your field around on the white line. Heat race number 7 getting set to go to the green flag. 8 laps the distance. Green flag is out. Down into turn 1, the field sorting it out. Oh, look out, Nate Mosier and Frankie Heimbaugh, but take a look. Dennis Moore Jr. up into the 4th spot. Jake Peters leads lap number 1. Gary Lee Meyer running in that 2nd spot. Toby Brown running 3rd. Dennis Moore Jr. running in the 4th spot. The fresh ostrich engine under the hood of the Eagle down the back straightaway. Jake Peters still leading the way in the car number 57X. Gary Lee running 2nd as your battle now in the 3rd spot. Toby Brown to the high side, Dennis Moore down low. They'll go into turn 3. Moore pulls up alongside, tries to move by. Brown stays tight up on the cushion. Side by side down the front, shoots your race for the 3rd spot. Dennis Moore Jr. by the flag stand for 3rd. Now Toby Brown challenging one more time up on the high side. Dennis Moore with the advantage down into turn 3. Still side by side racing for 3rd. Dennis Moore on the move trying to make his way around Brown. Dennis Moore now moves up into the 3rd spot as Brown slides back to 4th, but he's not done. Still working on the cushion. Matt Morrow riding 5th. Frankie Heimbaugh, Terry Alexander, Nate Mosier, and Alan Zhu round out the field. Your leader still the 57X of Jake Peters. Gary Lee Meyer still running in that 2nd spot. Dennis Moore 3rd. Toby Brown and Matt Morrow, your top 5 cars. Jake Peters leads the way up on the high side. He'll go through turns 3 and 4 as Gary Lee rides the low groove in turn 4. White flag is out, 1 lap to go. 1 lap to go now as your leaders have traffic ahead. Keep your eye on the top 2 cars. Gary Lee running in that 2nd spot. Dennis Moore still 3rd. Toby Brown, Matt Morrow, they'll work down the back, shoot the final time. Off turn 4, checkered flags out. Here comes Jake Peters to pick up the win. Jake Peters, your winner. Gary Lee Meyer running 2nd. Dennis Moore Jr. comes home in the 3rd spot. Toby Brown running 4th.
360 Nationals. He starts outside row number 4 as we get set to go. Steve Brazil, Brett Mather bring him off turn 4. Mather now looks to the inside as the front row trade positions down the front stretch. Down the back stretch they go. Now Brazil with the lead, Mather running second. Kenny Adams third, Curtis Thorson fourth, Terry McCarl fifth, Joe Beaver sixth. As we stack them up 3 wide, look at Terry McCarl now makes the move to the inside. Terry McCarl up into fourth. Joe Beaver all over the back of the 91 of Thorson, who's now off the pace. Curtis Thorson, lots of smoke. And yellow now on the speedway. Well, tough break for Curtis Thorson in the Nick's Greenhouse and Flowers number 91 car. As we get set to go at the cone on the front straightaway, lots of smoke out of the 56 of Heskin. And meanwhile, it's still Steve Brazil, your leader. Kenny Adams now trying to set up the 54. Brett Mather. Adams now follows him down into turns 3 and 4. Adams works the low side. Mather up on the cushion. Terry McCarl looking for a little racing room. Look at McCarl down way down on the bottom as Terry McCarl tried to get by both of them. And Brett Mather holds on to the second spot. Boy, if he could have seen what was behind him. Well, he can see what's in front of him now as Kenny Adams goes to the bottom, takes the second spot. Brett Mather back to third. Terry McCarl runs fourth. Joe Beaver fifth. Dave Hesmer trying to get up into those top spots. Here comes McCarl now, gets to the inside of Brett Mather. Terry McCarl now takes over the third spot. Well, up front, Steve Brazil leaving all the fun behind as he's set sail on the Am Pride at number 57. Dave Hesmer now throws the big slide job on the 53 of Beaver. Took the spot momentarily. Beaver, though, not wanting to give it up. Pulls back to the bottom. Joe Beaver now takes over the fifth spot from Dave Hesmer. As great racing between the 53 of Beaver and the black 1 of Hesmer as they battle for the fifth spot right behind the 54 of Brett Mather. Continues to be Brazil, Adams, McCarl, Mather, your top 4. As the laps continue to wind down, as Dave Hesmer now gets a nice run to the inside of the 53 of Beaver. Beaver, though, slams the door as he goes to work on the 54 Mather. As those guys all racing for the 4th spot. As the white flag comes out this time by for Steve Brazil. Kenny Adams trying to run him down, but running out of time as Steve Brazil started on the pole. Battled briefly with Brett Mather now and has the lead. Brings the car off the high side, and Steve Brazil picks up our 8th and final heat race. Kenny Adams second, Terry McCarl third, and Brett Mather rounds out your top 4.
John Scholes tags the tail. That'll move some cars up. Looks like Larry Neighbors moves up into the outside row number 2 starting spot. That was pretty scientific on my part, but your race is up front for the lead as they work into turn 4. Wayne Johnson brings them down, but Randy Miller is hot on his heels in turn 1. John Scholes will now bring his car to the infield as they race down the back chute. Now your race is in the 5th spot. Gary right up on the high side. Stacy Alexander is on the move. The car number 126. Now you got a new leader in turn 2. Randy Miller takes the top spot away from Johnson down the back chute. Mike Chad now moves by Stacy Alexander for the 4th spot in turns 3 and 4. Still side-by-side racing in the turn. Your race still up front. Randy Miller, Wayne Johnson the top 2. Now Wayne Johnson to the inside. Takes a look. Miller says no. Larry Neighbors running in that third spot. Mike Chad now cracks the top 4 cars as Stacy Alexander rides 5th. Gary Wright 6th. Vanderplug running 7th. Larry Ball Jr. now hustling around the high side in turns 3 and 4. Meanwhile, back up front, Randy Miller putting distance now between he and Wayne Johnson as the battle for third heats up. Mike Chad looks to the high side of Larry Neighbors side by side off turn 4. Larry Neighbors muscles back by, just about touched Mike Chad. Larry Neighbors in the third spot. Mike Chad running 4th. Now Gary Wright takes a look at Stacy Alexander for 5th. Halfway home as Randy Miller still shows the way into turn 2. Randy Miller, Wayne Johnson, Larry Neighbors. Now Gary Wright moves around Stacy Alexander for the 5th spot. He's got his sights set on Mike Chad, pulls up behind him in turn 3 and 4. Mike Chad still riding in the 4th spot. Gary Wright running 5th. Stacy Alexander, Eric Vanderplug, Larry Ball Jr. is up into the 8th spot. Your leader now into traffic. Randy Miller takes a look at the lap car of Chris Martinez down into turn 1. Motors by him on the bottom side. Wayne Johnson trying to close in as now the lap car of Martinez rides between he and your leader. Johnson moves by the lap car, sets his sights back on the race leader who's in heavy traffic down the front chute. Randy Miller goes to the bottom of the lap car ahead. Wayne Johnson carries the momentum up on the cushion. Your leader held up in traffic. Here comes Johnson. He's got the hook set, reeling him in down into turn 3. Your race is for the lead once again. Johnson to the inside, 3 wide with the lap car in the middle. Oh, slide job, got it. You've got a new leader by the flag stand. Wayne Johnson takes the top spot away from Randy Miller as lap traffic helps. Down the back shoots your new leader, Wayne Johnson. Randy Miller running 2nd. Larry Neighbors still 3rd. Mike Chad 4th. This time by the white flag will wave. 1 to go for Wayne Johnson. Wayne Johnson for the final time takes the white flag, racing into turn 2. Randy Miller still 2nd. Larry Neighbors 3rd. Mike Chad 4th. Stacy Alexander 5th. Gary Wright running 6th. Down the back chute tries to reel in Alexander in 3. This time by the double checkers are out for your winner, Wayne Johnson. Randy Miller comes home 2nd. Larry Neighbors 3rd. Mike Chad 4th. Stacy Alexander 5th. Gary Wright 6th.
All right, Rodney Turner, Toby Brown, that's row number 1 as we get set to cut him loose at the chalk stripe off turn number 4. Doug Clark hunched over, looking him over, looking for a nice clean, a 2x2 start. Turner and Brown bring him down the front row. Brings him down the front straightaway as everybody scrambles down into turn number 1. Rodney Turner out front with the lead. Oh, hang on, Eric Mason as keeps the car rolling. Eric Mason, unbelievable job, has kept the car not only on its wheels, but out of the fence and under power as powers down the back straightaway. As we stay clean and green, Dave Hessmer taking advantage now, moving up into the top 4. But Ryan Anderson not giving the spot away that easy as Anderson now comes back to the inside of Hessmer. That's the transfer spot. You don't want to give that one away, and Ryan Anderson's not gonna, takes back the 4th position. Ryan Anderson now back up into 4th. Dave Hessmer runs 5th. Hessmer, though, looks back to the bottom of Anderson. Joe Beaver running 6th, trying to close in on those 2 for that all-important transfer spot. Up front, Rodney Turner, your leader. Ed Ergenbright 2nd. Toby Brown 3rd. Ryan Anderson runs 4th. But he's got company coming. Joe Beaver making the high side of the racetrack work. Joe Beaver now pulls up alongside the outside of the 71R. They race wheel to wheel through turns 3 and 4. Joe Beaver now up to 4th. He now wants the 3rd spot from Toby Brown. Toby Brown still holding down the 3rd spot. Joe Beaver now up into a transfer position. Rodney Turner, though, stretching out the advantage in the 69 car. As your leader comes off, turn 4, completes another lap now at the halfway point. 6 down, 6 to go for Rodney Turner. And Ed Ergenbright now closes the gap down the back straightaway. Turner bottled up slightly with the lap car, Rod Foster. Ed Ergenbright is closing. Meanwhile, look at Joe Beaver pouring on the throttle as Ergenbright and Beaver running second and third, trying to run down Rodney Turner. Meanwhile, Toby Brown has the 4th spot, but Dave Hesmer trying to get himself up into tonight's A main. As Dave Hesmer now looks to the inside of Toby Brown. Meanwhile, back up front, your races for the lead. Ed Ergenbright takes the lead down the front straightaway. Holy cow, Ed Ergenbright takes the lead. Rodney Turner now fades back to the 3rd spot. David Hesmer has taken over the 4th position. Right now, your transfer cars, Ergenbright, Beaver, Turner, and Hesmer. And as the laps continue to wind down, Ed Ergenbright still your leader. Joe Beaver now running second. David Hesmer has caught the 69 of Rodney Turner for 3rd. Toby Brown 1 spot out of a transfer, would like to close the gap on Turner and Hesmer. Dave Hesmer now pulls up, pulls out, takes over the 3rd spot. White flag is out for Ed Ergenbright. Just a half a lap to go for Ed Ergenbright. Toby Brown trying to close in on the 69 of Rodney Turner. As off turn 4 with traffic ahead, Ed Ergenbright looks like he's going to pick up the B main win. Yes, indeed. Ed Ergenbright picks up the 2nd B main win. Joe Beaver comes home 2nd. Dave Hesmer 3rd.
As we get set to go, the 91X will tag the tail. And we'll get set to go once again. Cody Branchcombe sitting on the pole. Josh Higday outside of him. Danny Jennings in row number 2. And Aaron Crocker outside of row 2. Travis Rylett and Zach Chappell in row 3. Yellow lights are off, getting set to go one more time. Green flag is out. Down the chute into the turn. Oh, there, Shane Stewart almost gets into the fence in turn 1. Gathering it back in, down the back chute. Cody Branchcombe shows the way, but not for long. Here comes Josh Higday. Josh Higday muscles by, takes the lead. Here comes Aaron Crocker now up to challenge. Your race now in the 3rd spot, make it 2nd. Crocker moves up to 2nd. Josh Higday still showing the way. Aaron Crocker running 2nd. Cody Branchcombe, Travis Rylett, Brian Brown up into the 5th spot as they work into turns 3 and 4. Brown works off the bottom side, taking a look at Rylett down the front straightaway. Three wide racing back in the pack as the field starting to sort out. Randy Miller on the move, working up through the field. Meanwhile, up front, it's Josh Higday, Aaron Crocker, Brian Brown now up into the 3rd spot. Cody Branchcombe back to 4, Travis Rylett 5th, Danny Jennings, Shane Stewart, Zach Chappell, Tim St. Arnold, and Don Stroud Jr., followed by John Vandenberg. Shane Stewart on the move, working by Danny Jennings down the front straightaway. Stewart up into the 6th spot as he races around the bottom side. Now 2x2 racing down the back straightaway. Travis Rylett, Cody Branchcombe battle it out going into turn 3. That is your race for the 4th and 5th spot. Now Shane Stewart around Branchcombe down the front straightaway. Move him up into the 5th spot. Shane Stewart up into 5th with his sights set on 4. Down to the inside, by side racing down the back chute. Stewart with the advantage going into the bottom side at turn 3. Got it, takes over the 4th spot. Takes a look now at Brian Brown in turn 4. Brian Brown riding in that 3rd spot, but not for long, because here comes Shane Stewart. Brian Brown still up into the top spot in the 3rd spot as it is on the high side of the racetrack going into turn 3 now. Shane Stewart pulls up alongside, side by side racing for position. Meanwhile, your leader all alone like the chess club president on prom night. Down the back chute, Josh Higday. Josh Higday up on the high side, whistling Dixie down the front chute as he races by the flag stand. Your leader putting the whip to it in turn 2. Josh Higday, Aaron Crocker, Brian Brown in third. Now Shane Stewart on the high side racing for the third spot. Keep your eye on him down the front chute as the lap car. John Hall ahead. Oh, nearly missing the lap car as Stewart dives to the bottom side in turns 1 and 2. Brown up on the cushion. Down the back chute, nose to tail racing for position. Halfway home for your leader by the flag stand. But the battle still hot and heavy in the third spot. Now Shane Stewart with the advantage by the flag stand for third. Aaron Crocker still running second, Shane Stewart third, Brian Brown fourth, Travis Rylett fifth, Danny Jennings, Don Dowd, and then Cody Branchcombe, Zach Chappell, John Vandenberg, and Darren Stewart. Darren Stewart now up into the 11th spot as your field working through turns 3 and 4. Your leader down the back chute into turn 3 by the scoreboard. Josh Higday by himself in traffic. Josh Higday still showing the way. Lots of lap cars ahead as your leader works off turn 4. Heavy traffic ahead as your leader, Josh Higday, rides the cushion into turns 1 and 2. Moves by the lap car, John Hall now battling around the lap car. Johnny Anderson nearly getting into the fence on the back chute. Aaron Crocker still running in that second spot, but oh, take a look in 3 and 4. Shane Stewart moves by Crocker for second. Aaron Crocker now back to third. Brian Brown running fourth. Travis Rylett fifth. Danny Jennings running sixth. Don Dowd Jr. seventh. John Vandenberg eighth. Zach Chappell ninth. Darren Stewart now into the top 10. Randy Miller running 11th. Jesse Janetto 12th. 13th. Tim St. Arnold. Cody Branchcombe 14th. And Doug Wilson, your top 15 cars. Josh Higday patiently leading the field around as lap traffic ahead. The car number 24 is on the move. Your leader, Josh Higday. Shane Stewart has moved up into the second spot. He started. Shane Stewart starting in the 8th position, now running second. John Vandenberg also on the move up into the 8th spot, the 10V. Travis Rylett now battling Aaron Crocker for position down into turn 1. Travis Rylett in the 4th spot. Danny Jennings now takes a look at Crocker down the back straightaway going into turn 3. Crocker slides down to block Jennings. Dowd up on the high side makes a move on Jennings in turn 4. Down the front chute, Don Dowd Jr. squeaks by Jennings by the flag stand, takes away the 6th spot. Jennings running 7th, John Vandenberg 8th. Good head of steam down the back chute, takes a look. White flag's out, 1 to go for your leader, Josh Higday. Josh Higday leading down the back chute for the final time, looking to pick up feature win number 2 through turns 3 and 4 by the scoreboard. Off turn 4, checkered flag is out this time by your winner, Josh Higday. Shane Stewart comes home second, Brian Brown third, Travis Rylett fourth, Aaron Crocker fifth, and gives 6th to Don Dowd Jr.
And the whole thing about it is he's hardly breaking a sweat. I think we got a little boy here a little bit excited too, but Josh, I'm gonna get back over here a little bit. I thought for a little while a couple guys behind you were gonna give you a run, but man, you checked out big time. You set a new track record to boot.
Wow, that's awesome. I'll tell you what, this season's really going pretty good, and there's a lot of racing left. Hopefully we can get up front in them points. That's our main goal.
A lot of big money teams here this weekend with 360 Racing. I know you guys' budget situation is kind of up and down throughout the season. So far, so good. Got yourself in a pretty good spot tomorrow night, but you got to do the redraw still.
Yeah, that redraw is going to make a big difference. There's the best 360 racers in the country, and some of the best 410 racers too. So it's going to be real tough. We got our work cut out for us, but I think we got a pretty good shot.
All right, we'll let you get in the trophy here and get things set up for tomorrow night.
Thanks a lot.
Ladies and gentlemen, one more time, give it up for your first feature winner of this evening, Josh Higday. And we want to remind everybody this evening, Advanced Auto Part representative this evening, Brian Stewart, his wife Susan's here, and our trophy girl this evening is Lisa Jones. We've got one more feature to do. We'll go ahead and we'll send it back upstairs.
All right, well, as they continue to flash photos down the front stretch, a woman from Malabar, Florida, running the Goodson Farms Putnam County Speedway, number 4A car, Kenny Adams. To his outside from Knoxville, the Murphy correct position. All right, the base trucks are off. Kenny Adams, his first ever start alongside the 57 Steve Brazil. How cool would it be if Dennis Moore Jr. flies in from California and picks up a win? He's inside row number 2 alongside Billy Alley. This is going to be spectacular as the week gets set to go. Adams and Brazil. 3 and 4 wide down the front straightaway down into turn number 1. Kenny Adams, he's got the lead, but it ain't going to matter. Oh, hang on, Joe Beaver. And we saw the yellow lights come on as a rough start. They were warned under the red flag. They want a tighter start as everybody stacks up behind them. And this one ain't gonna work either, as keep them straight, fellas, because it ain't gonna matter. And oh! And once again, as everybody gets down into turn number 1 and 2, clean thus far. Hang on, Ed Ergenbright got a little out of shape. But everybody still keeps them going down the back straightaway. Steve Brazil, your leader, he'll come down. He looks like he'll lead lap number 1. Dennis Moore Jr. looks to the inside of Kenny Adams for 2nd. Billy Alley runs 4th. Terry McCarl on the move up into the top 6. Watch the white 83X car. And yellow on the speedway, Matt Morrow brings the number 2 car to a rest. But for right now, you might want to concentrate on the front as Steve Brazil now begins to accelerate off turn number 4. Puts the hammer down. Kenny Adams, plenty of motor, pulls up alongside the 57. Adams this time going to try to complete the pass. Yes, indeed he does. Kenny Adams takes the lead down the back straightaway. Steve Brazil will follow him on the high side. Billy Alley running in the 3rd spot. Jake Peters now up to 4th. Terry McCarl losing a position now to the 10 of Ryan Menninga. Menninga up on the cushion up into the top 5. As Kenny Adams starting to stretch the distance now over the 57 of Brazil. Billy Alley using the low line with that broken a nose wing, not affecting him too much as Billy Alley still holding his own in 3rd. Jake Peters on the cushion in the 4th spot. As Kenny Adams nearly a half a straightaway advantage already over the 57 of Brazil. And oh, Ryan Menninga off the pace. Tough break for Ryan. Oh, hang on, Ed Ergenbright. As yellow on the speedway. And Kenny Adams this time, he'll get to set the pace as he's been following Brazil for the first couple restarts. Adams now, he gets to step on the button when he wants. And Adams already pulls out a little bit. Look at Billy Alley. He's wasting no time, goes to the bottom. Billy Alley now up to 2nd. Terry McCarl also on the move. He's from 5th, now looking for 3rd. McCarl using the bottom. Terry McCarl finding the moisture down on the bottom, now hooks it up. He's up into the 3rd spot. Brazil gets shuffled back to 4th. Jake Peters still runs 5th. But Randy Martin now using the low line. Randy Martin now goes up into the top 5. Dennis Moore Jr. now starting his charge through the field from the back. Keep your eye on the 75 car. Back to the front though, the 4A Kenny Adams. Still holding off the 22 of Billy Alley. Terry McCarl back in third. As some good racing at the back of the pack. And Jesse Hockett getting over hard in turn number 2. As we turn him loose at the orange cone, Adams gets a good jump. Billy Alley gonna try the bottom. Adams right through the middle. Kenny Adams, still your leader down the back straightaway. Steve Brazil got a nice run off turn 2 that time as he pursues Terry McCarl for the 3rd spot. Adams comes by, he'll lead at the flag stand. Alley second, McCarl now off the pace. Terry McCarl. Oh my goodness, big problems on the 83 exit, Terry McCarl. As we get set off turn 4 down the front stretch, Adams does it one more time. Kenny Adams still holds the lead down the back straightaway. Dennis Moore Jr. now trying the high side of the racetrack on the 83 of Mike Hausman now. Dennis Moore gets that spot. Dennis Moore really on the move. Excuse me, now he's working on the 83 of Mike Hausman. Look at Dennis Moore Jr. very fast in the 75X as your front 5 cars got themselves spread out around the racetrack. Dennis Moore Jr. now loses a spot back to Mike Hausman as they battle for the 6th and 7th positions. Continues to be Adams, Ellie, Brazil, Martin, Peters, your top 5. Dennis Moore now back into the 6th spot as he's cleared the 83 of Mike Hausman. Halfway home already in this one. As your race continues to develop for the lead, as we said, still 10 laps remaining, lots of time as Billy Alley using the low groove, trying to reel in the 4A of Kenny Adams. And this one's not over yet. Kenny Adams on the top, Billy Alley on the bottom. Steve Brazil a ways back in 3rd, Randy Martin 4th, Jake Peters still 5th. As Billy Alley goes to work trying to reel in the 4A of Kenny Adams. Matt Morrow now off the pace in turn 2, brings the 2 car into the pit area. His night's finished. As Kenny Adams staying on the high side and Billy Alley on the bottom. Billy Alley with that repaired nose wing now really closing the gap. As it's Florida versus Nebraska down the back straightaway. Kenny Adams on the top, Billy Alley on the bottom. Alley now pulls up almost even with Kenny Adams. Adams now goes down low, tries to block Billy Alley. Alley though pulls up, look at Billy Alley giving the lead down the back straightaway. Holy cow, Billy Alley takes the top spot. Kenny Adams though not done yet as he goes back to the top where he's been so fast. Kenny Adams gonna try the high side once again. Adams gets a little bit of a run, tries to close the gap. Lap traffic ahead will play a factor now as Hesper and Turner almost get together on the front stretch. Oh, hang on, Billy Alley. Adams comes back, slide job. Whoa! Adams takes the lead. Alley now ducks back underneath. Side by side, they go down the back straightaway. As Kenny Adams on the top, Billy Alley now gets boxed in on the bottom. Kenny Adams, oh! Rodney Turner off the pace right in front of your leader, Kenny Adams. Kenny Adams now with a little breathing room over the 22 of Billy Alley. 3rd spot now to Randy Martin, Jake Peters 4th, Steve Brazil back to 5th. Kenny Adams now tries to clear the 10 L Liebig. Gets that pass mate, gets a little out of shape though. Billy Alley trying to close the gap. The lap's now winding down. As Doug Clark reaches behind, this time by, he'll show the white flag to Kenny Adams. Just a half mile to go for Kenny Adams. Billy Alley now gets stuck behind the lap machine of Shane Liebig. And barring any major misfortune, Kenny Adams, yes indeed, off turn 4 to the waving double checkers. Kenny Adams, his first ever Knoxville feature victory.
Give it up for Kenny Adams. Woohoo! Well, I guess the first thing I said it. Oh, no, he ain't done yet. There we go. First thing I told him when I saw him, and I said, welcome to Knoxville. I'll talk to you later. I told you I wasn't kidding, but I figured during a break sometime. This is just good as anything. Congratulations.
Thank you very much. I'll tell you what a